All right, welcome everybody. So I have back probably our favorite guest. Yes, I'm going to give him the top slot of the favorite guest of all time, Dr. Bruce Lipton. If you are here on YouTube, hi, I'm JJ. What this means is this is my show, which means I'm going to talk when he lets me. And it's totally fine because it's not really about me, but I do have plenty to offer. So just know if you're here just to see Dr. Bruce Lipton and you don't like me, I am totally fine with that. You can go to
No,
Bruce.
I am not fine with that.
That's okay. We're all right. Go to brucelipton.com and you can learn a lot more. He has tons of free things that you can keep absorbing more of him in the case that you don't like me and you think I talk too much, which by the way, it's my show. So just deal with it. All right. So everybody who's on the podcast, you are excited about today's episode. If you were lucky enough to get into the Consciousness Upgrade Summit, and if you bought a VIP ticket, and I've been so busy and happy that I haven't bothered to take it down yet. So I will tell you by the end of today's episode that if you still are interested and you want to grab that ticket so you can watch what we talked about there, Dr. Bruce was on fire. And then we have a bonus episode at the end that nobody else got to see unless you upgraded. I'll give you that information. So today we're talking about his third book. We are finally at The Honeymoon Effect. Welcome back to the show, Bruce.
JJ, I am so happy to be back yet again and again. I love being on your show. And if somebody doesn't like your show, they might be in the wrong place because this is a great show. And this is important because the world's in a state of upheaval, chaos, and its knowledge, its power is going to get us out of it. And that's why I'm so happy to be here because I know this audience is an audience that questions and looking for different answers to get through the craziness that's out there right now. It gets crazier every day, and we're not even there yet. And so I want to thank JJ because she's a cultural creative. She is what I would refer to in our biology as an imaginal cell that is helping the rest of our cells reorganize into a new version of civilization, one that doesn't just survive, one that thrives, one that says, my God, I have a chance to be on this planet. This is the best gift. You don't even know it was a gift. Okay, we can talk about it.
So divine timing is perfect as always. And I am about to have my second retreat for my mastermind. They'll be here on Thursday, but I had one of my members come in to do a VIP day with me. And as we discussed in our bonus episode, I have been helping people sort of transition into having some awakenings using some plant medicines. And we had a very big aha, literally near death experience. She didn't almost die, but she had all the things that people talk about that have near death experiences, like being able to know what it's like on the other side and having all the feelings of love and that everything is okay and that I'm healthy and that there's so much love in the world, and like hitting the high of knowing, like she said that she goes, I have a knowing that I've never had before. And so what I thought was perfect was because now she's coming in back into reality and we're into this, and how do we, which is perfect because it's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Literally, the title of the book is The Honeymoon Effect, the science of creating heaven on earth. So there is not like, yes, non-physical heaven, whatever you want to call it, is pure love, is pure positive energy. And there's no fear of death. In fact, she let go of the fear of death. She's like, I have no fear of death anymore. Like we hit all the things. Like it was a great, great experience for her. And if you had any kind of list or goals, we hit them all, which was great. And she didn't have any kind of terminal illness or anything. But this is what I hope for people to have an awakening. And now not everyone has to do that to have the same kind of awakening because I can read your book. And so I want to talk about it. And she and I are going to discuss and integrate these new awarenesses, this new level of vibration, this new level of knowingness, this lack of fear, this lack of trying and doing and performing for love, all the things that are going to like dissolve away. But then there's okay, how do I live in this world? So I'm very excited about that just happened. And it's a perfect setup for how the honeymoon effect can help us all live in a state of heaven on earth. So where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with something. Many of you have seen the movie The Matrix, and it's listed as science fiction, but the truth is it's actually a documentary. It's a documentary because the whole premise of the movie is that we've all been programmed. They go, Well, that's a scientific reality. We are all programmed between the last 3 months of pregnancy and age 7 as a way of nature, putting our brain in a state of hypnosis during that time period. And say, why? I say, because genetically I can make my body, but can I genetically determine culture? I know culture changes all the time. You can't do that. So you have to adapt to a culture to survive. And you have to learn how to live as a family member. There are rules. You have to learn to live as a culture. You got more rules. I go, how's an infant going to learn the rules? Because you got to get off the ground. So the brain is like a computer. And that's not like a computer, it is a computer. And just like any computer, like in the old days, you buy a brand new computer, you take it home, you push start, it boots up, screen lights up, and I say, okay, now do something. You say, well, no, I can't do anything yet. And I go, why not? I said, oh, first you have to put programs in the computer, then you can access the computer. I go, oh, yeah. Well, the brain is a computer. And it lights up in the last trimester of pregnancy, 3 months before you're born, the screen's up. And then the process of downloading begins, where you take your life experiences and they become programs. And these programs are how you connect with the world. Well, of course, a very, very important point is how were those early life experiences? Did you come from a family where everybody was in love and healthy and happy and enjoyed life? Or did you come from a family where stress was part of the real world? I go, well, why? Because you've been programmed to that. And I go, so what's the point? And I say, we live the program 95% of the day. And I go, but the most important part is you don't even know what the program is, and you're living it 95%. I said, how can that happen? I go, a simple point. The brain, the mind, actually. We always talk the mind, like there's this one thing called mind. I go, no, first of all, there are two things called mind, and they work together. And the two things is one is the latest evolution, conscious mind, which is right behind your forehead, or subconscious, which is about 90% of all the stuff going on back here. I go, so what's the difference? I go, the subconscious mind, the original brain, is the equivalent of a hard drive. Got programs, push the button, play the program. No thinking required. It's just like primitive organisms. They don't sit around and think. The stimulus from the environment says, now we do this, now we do that. I say, subconscious, that's exactly what it is. It's all programs, okay? The conscious was the evolution that made us different because the conscious has imagination and thinking. Okay, what does that mean? It says you can become creative. You can imagine something and then manifest it. Oh, lower animals don't have that imagination. They live right now, real world, what's going on right here, but they can't see a future. They also don't know they die, which is a benefit to them, because we're the only organism that does, which that's where the fear that JJ was talking about is stemming from. You don't even realize that you got that fear when you were a kid, when you started to realize people die. And the first, it was interesting. You weren't worried about your own death. You were worried about your parents' death first, because it was like, what will I do if my mom and dad are not here? That was the fear. You never thought about what if I'm not here? That took a few more years. And then all of a sudden you said, wait, I can die too. I go, now we're catching on. So what's the point? The point is this: the computer brain operates with the hard drive with programs. And during the first 7 years, your brain is acting in a state of hypnosis. Why? Because how much information you have to download to be a member of a family and community. It's like you can't go to school, you can't read a book at that age. So nature gave us a state of hypnosis. So you were being programmed by watching other people for 7 years, your mother, your father, your family, your community, and you downloaded their behavior. Okay. Now, these are the programs that get you off the ground. By age 7, you can actually start using conscious creative mind. And the conscious creative mind is the one that has your wishes and desires in it. Okay. So I say, oh, cool. That's the one I really like because that's the one this is what I want. I go, great, great. Fact of life. The conscious mind can not only, have the creativity of wishes and desires and look out at the world and help you go to wishes and desires. That's what the conscious mind can do. But the conscious mind can think. You know, thinking is not looking out. Thinking is looking in. A thought is on the inside. So imagine you're driving the car and you're going to some place, and all of a sudden, as you're driving, you start to think, oh, when I get to the store, I'm going to get this, blah, blah, blah. And I go, guess what? At that moment, You were not looking out the windshield. At that moment, you were thinking about what you were going to do. And I go, well, who was driving the car? I go, you didn't have an accident. You were kept in the speed limit. You got off at the exit. Somebody's driving a car. I go, program. You know how to drive a car because that's a program. Do you need to pay attention? No. Programs are great if they're good programs. Like, when did you learn how to walk? Before you were 2. Are you still walking? Hey, do you think about it? Absolutely not. You don't even have to say, if you want to go to the other side of the room, I'm now going to walk to the other side of the room. I'm on the other side of the room. And it's like somehow it works. Okay. Programs are good if they're good programs. If they're bad programs, they also work, but not for the benefit. And I say, well, first of all, why am I playing the program? And the answer is this. When the conscious mind lets go of the wheel, so to speak, driving you to your wishes and desires and lets go because it's thinking, then the subconscious programs are what I call autopilot. They take over and carry out all the functions that you didn't have to think about. Driving the car, walking, talking, doing a job. Why? Those are programs, okay? So the idea about it is when you are thinking, the programs run your life. I go, okay. I say, how much time do we think? Well, that's the killer. Science has recognized 95% of the day is the amount of time you are thinking. I go, so what does that mean? It's that 95% of the day is the amount of time you're playing the program. And here it is. So what the hell is wrong? Well, we have a lot of bad programs too. I go, yeah. And I say, yeah, but what's wrong? I say, because when you're thinking, you're not paying attention to what's going on. Whatever the program is playing, you're the one that can't see the program. Everybody else sees your program. You don't see it. Why? Because you're only playing it when you're not paying attention. See? So I've been on this wonderful show before, JJ. I'm sure I brought up this. You have a friend, you know your friend's behavior very well, and you know your friend's parent. Then you see your friend has the same behavior as the parent, and you got to tell him. You go, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. And I say, back away from Bill because I know what the response is, and you know what the response is because he says, how could you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad. I go, everybody else sees Bill behaves like his dad because that's a program that's playing. Bill doesn't see it. Why? Because he's thinking and he doesn't see the program, so he disconnects from that. Okay, before we go on the rest of the show, then it's easy at this moment to say, guess what? We are all Bill. We are all doing this every day. I go, well, then are you creating the life you're living with? I say, no, the program is creating the life you're living with. You don't see the program, but it's operating 95% of the time. Bad point. Over 60% of those programs are disempowering, self-sabotaging, and limiting. And I go, well, so what does that mean? You are continuously sabotaging yourself, and you're the only one that can't see it. I said, what does that lead you? And this is where the problem comes from. Since you can't see, you have the wish, I want to be successful. It's not working. Those people out there interfere. I'm a victim. That person did this and that person did that. I said, you didn't see you were the primary participant because you were the one that sent out the program that they're responding to. Okay. So, simple point is this. We are not living the lives we wish to live. We are living the lives we are programmed to live. Now, I can give you a personal story very simply. My mother and father had a very dysfunctional relationship, but I'm the boy growing up in that family. First 7 years, what's my job? Watch my father and download his behavior because that's the male role in my family, okay? And then when you look at your mom in that role, that's the partner that you ultimately want to find because you're being programmed. This is the way it is, and that's the partner. And before you even know anything about partners, you already have a program of what you're looking for, okay? And then you go out and live your life. And then all of a sudden you start to find it's not working to the wishes and desires. My father and mother had a dysfunctional relationship. I could not get a relationship off the ground for over 40 years. Why? Because, well, I could start the relationship. Oh, that's the red pill. I didn't get there yet. Remember I said Matrix is documentary, programming, all of us, red pill, get out of the program. Falling in love, science recognizes is the red pill. I say, why? Well, your life was blah, 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 blah. Why program? Blah, 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 blah. Fall in love, you stop thinking. I goes, what does that mean? You stay present. You stay mindful. I say, what are you talking about? I say, person that you want is in front of you right now. Why would you disconnect and think? You want to be here now. So the moment you stop thinking, guess what? You stop playing the program. The moment you stop playing the program, then the conscious wishes, desires mind is in charge. And that's what manifests the heaven on earth honeymoon experience. Okay? The honeymoon doesn't last. I go, what? Because there's a point where you start thinking a lot, and then those bad programs come up. And that's like, I could get a relationship started. I couldn't maintain the relationship because once my father's programming started to manifest, which I didn't see, but my partner did, game over, right? So the point about it is, JJ let me on here today for a very hopeful reason. And I say, it's this, what if you could have a honeymoon every day of your life for the rest of your life? Oh, that would be wonderful. I go, I know it. I'm doing it. I've been on a honeymoon 28 years with my partner, Margaret. I go, why? Because both of us knew we had programs. So when the programs showed up, instead of leading to argument, you said this, you said that, the arguments didn't exist. What happened was, do you want to change the program? I said, what program? Oh, you didn't see what you just said. Oh, I go, oh no, what was it? And all of a sudden we are working on changing program, not arguing. Arguing is what breaks the relationship. Communicating is what brings it back together again. But more so, once I knew that these programs were playing, which weren't any good, and my attention was directed to, oh, did I say that? Oh, I could change the programming. And that's the secret of the whole thing. Because if you can change the program, then what if you just think about it this way? What if all the wishes and desires that you have in your creative conscious mind are actually programs in the subconscious mind? The answer is this. Then whether you're thinking or you're not thinking, you're still playing what? Success. You're always going to be playing success. If you're not thinking, the program is going to carry you. If you are thinking, the program carries you. If you're not thinking, you carry you, both going in the same place. And this is why it's a wake-up call for this world, because I'll give you a simple fact. 80 to 90%, which means a lot of you, okay, will not test positive for the statement, I love myself. 80 to 90% will not test positive. I go, why? Well, remember the programming that first 7 years? Remember the criticisms that you got, that your parents thought they were acting like a coach and they were going to help you by saying you don't deserve that, so that you would automatically, as a child, try harder? They didn't know that those were being recorded. And your program contains, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not this, I'm not that. I go, oh, that's the part of the brain that's working 95% of the time. Oh, yeah. What does that mean? Self-sabotage. You will destroy yourself with these programs. Okay. And the idea is, what if both partners in a relationship knew you had program? Then there are no arguments, because it takes an opportunity to turn around and change the program. And if you change the program and clear out those negative things, disempowering, self-sabotaging programs, then you're operating from two wishes and desires oriented minds. And then guess what? Then your life is a honeymoon every day. I changed those programs. I've been on a honeymoon 28 years. Why? The self-destructive programs are not there. They were reprogrammed. I'm operating with power, my power. And this is what I want all of you to have. Why? Because if you're celebrating heaven on earth, I'm right here near you. I'm going to be with you on that one, okay? And the more of us that recognize that you don't die and go to heaven, that was a very stupid idea. I go, why? Because what do you think this place is? I go, well, we have this body. I go, yeah, you're not the body, you're the broadcast going to this body. I go, so what's the point? The body is a device to do what? Create. You came here to create. And you look around and you go, I wouldn't have created this mess. I say, no, you didn't. Your program participated in creating this mess. And again, you don't see the program. So to you, it's like, what's happening? And you don't even realize you're a participant. And I'm so glad JJ brings this up, because if you just understand this one thing about how you've been misled by bad programming, you are empowered. You are empowered to do something. If you're like everybody else and don't even know you're playing a program, then it's like, hey, why is the world acting like this? The world's crazy. I go, you were there participating in that because you don't realize your program has put you there. And talk about relationships. This lady over here on the other screen, she could talk to you for hours. In fact, she's got so many podcasts that she can talk to you about all that. Because the whole idea is JJ is here as a cultural creative. She's here to say, yeah, if you notice it's not working, but if you also know, old saying, knowledge is power. If you have knowledge of who you are and how you work, then you have the power to control your life. If you have the other way of saying the same thing, I'm going to say the same thing. Knowledge is power, but let's say it the other way. A lack of knowledge is a lack of power. What you don't know can kill you.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, this is why JJ's podcasts are so important to me because she's offering knowledge to get out of the old and into the new, because that's all it takes to get out. It just has to be a change of consciousness. And once you understand who you are as a creator, then you realize don't waste your life thinking that when you die, you go to heaven, because this is where you came to create heaven. And if you ever had a honeymoon effect, you tasted it and it was beautiful. And it's what we want. I say, well, that was available all the time, except for the program got in the way. What if the program doesn't get in the way? Then it's heaven on earth every day of your life. Ah, and that's why we're here, JJ.
What I love is that a year ago, well, so Dr. Bruce has a workshop coming up that I'm attending in Mount Shasta, California. It's August 9th through the 12th on the honeymoon effect. That's exactly what we're going to be doing there. And last August, I was with you in Sedona, and I did those muscle tests there. And you had us test two things. You had us test I love myself and I feel safe. And
Yes.
I was positive on the I love myself. That program has been installed and worked on. I was good there. But I was surprised to see that I wasn't as strong on the I feel safe, because intellectually I do. But I guess part of my subconscious was like, well, but there are some things that aren't safe for you. So, but I've been working on that. So I can't wait to retest again in the environment that we're going to be in and see where I fall with those.
Did
But
we did we did we test for that one and change it, or
yep,
just
yep,
you
yep,
tested for I feel safe?
yep. Yeah, we did. I love myself and I feel safe were the two things that you said at the workshop in
Yeah.
Sedona, that if you do not have those two beliefs,
Yeah.
I love myself and I feel safe, you cannot heal.
I can't remember. Did I work with you directly or was that part of the group?
Part of the group. We had a whole group do it. We had to partner up. And I
No, okay. I want to do it with you.
Okay, well, I'll see you in August and you'll do it with me. And I invited and I can't wait to come. And I hope that anyone who's feeling interested, go to brucelipton.com to his event page, and there's still spots. So please come. You'll see me, you'll see him. It'll be great if you've never been to Mount Shasta, which I haven't. I'm so excited to come to Mount Shasta. But I have, okay, several questions. Now, you wrote Biology of Belief. So your whole
Yes, I
career
did.
started with this with epigenetics, and not whole career, but you're writing the book, you're awakening, you're understanding the science breakthrough of epigenetics, and then you move to spontaneous evolution. How long between spontaneous, that was the second book, and we did a show on that. How long between spontaneous evolution and the honeymoon effect was there?
Um, it was kind of a brief period. I'll tell you why. Because biology belief is how we personally create our lives. When I started to realize our personal creation and the connection of knowledge and programming, I said, oh my God, then collectively we're all creating our lives. And that said, oh wait, then civilization is a whole bunch of people following some program that manifests as that civilization. When the beliefs change, the civilization changes. And I said, oh my goodness, it's epigenetics on a global scale instead of just on a personal scale. Then I got to the end of that, and the part that was really to me was interesting was um, the honeymoon. I go because I try to tell people that you don't die and go to heaven. You are here to create this, and that until I really understood the nature of the programming for all that part, I didn't touch the reality of, oh my God, this is where you want to be. This is your freedom. What do you want? It's like it's a candy store. What the heck do you want? And the idea is, of course, nobody knows what they want. That's a bigger problem. But the programming has taken away the incentive to find it yourself, because the programming has given you the appearance of being a victim where life happens to you and you just have to put up with it. And I go, boy, is that wrong. And once I understood all this, and I was now living the honeymoon, because first of all, I had to change my programming to get out of my father's relationship programming. And then I met Margaret, and both of us understood the nature of don't blame the person, look at the program, and help change the program led to this. And once I was experiencing this on an everyday affair, every day, wake up, we joke, another stinking day of heaven on earth. And the idea about it is every day. And things have changed in my life. So I used to be able to get angry. Things would irritate me, and like that. I haven't been angry for 10, 20 years now. And I want to tell you, no fear, no anger, living in love. Things come to you. You don't have to chase them. The only reason you have to chase them is if your program keeps pushing them farther away, then you have to try to catch up with them. It's the programming. If you understand the nature of the programming, you don't have to go out and do something. You just have to have the consciousness and it comes to you. It's a whole different game. And I want people to have it, as I said, because the more people that are living heaven on earth, the more it manifests as a reality for all of us to do this. And the world situation that we're in right now is, well, yeah, it's falling apart. It's in chaos. Whether you watch the news, surf the web, or even look out your own window, the world's in a state of chaos. And I go, this is scaring a lot of people because fear is the opposite of love. If you're living in fear, love is, you don't have time for love. Fear means I got to do something right now, okay? Well, the fear that you see is it's falling apart. Well, I want to turn that around very quickly, and the point about it is simply this. If the civilization doesn't fall apart, you're going to be in real fear because the civilization is causing the problems on this planet right now. We're destroying the earth. It takes 1.6 planet Earths to provide the resources for today's civilization. I go, wait a minute, we only have one Earth. Where are you getting 0.6? I say, you're raping and pillaging the planet to take all the resources out right now and destroying the planet. So the point about it is this, is that the civilization, the cultural beliefs, the Darwinian thing of life is a struggle and it's competition for success, that has been the most destructive belief system that's ever come. And we are not in a Darwinian world. We're in a world where evolution is based on cooperation, not competition. Now, cooperation starts with relationships. Well, start with a honeymoon. If you start finding yourself in a honeymoon, guess what? You're going to find yourself in a community. Why? Well, it's like bugs going toward a light. The love is the light, and people are going to come to that. If you're in love, people will find you because they can feel it, they can experience it. And that's cooperation, that's community, that's family. And this is what evolution's all about. But 80 to 90%, I don't love myself. That is a stumbling block that we have to overcome as personal people in a process. Your personal life has to be able to give you what you want, not create what you don't want. And the issue about that is interesting. JJ, you ask some people, you say, well, tell me what you really want. And they go, they think and basically, well, I don't want this. I go, no, tell me what you do want. And all of a sudden, guess what? How many people can't even tell you exactly what they want? And the point about it is, well, how can you create something you don't even know what you want? So part of this whole exercise is, what the heck do you want? And then we can look at the programs. Now, JJ and we've been through this programming stuff and talked about it and all that, but let me just tell you this. You don't basically know most of your fundamental programs. I go, why? Well, you were being programmed 3 months before you were born. You want to tell me what program oh, you can't tell me you don't remember the programming when you were just a fetus? Oh, okay. Well, hey, you were programmed the whole year from 0 to 1. You want to tell me the program you got when you were 0? No, okay. Wait, you were programmed a whole year from 1 to 2. What programs did you get when you were 1? Okay, here's the point. These are the fundamental programs, starting at the earliest programs are the most fundamental programs, and they're the ones that shape your life. You cannot tell me what your programs are because you were not conscious when the programs were being downloaded. And then they say, oh, well, I don't know what my programs are. I go, yes, you do. You know why? Because 95% of your life is the program. I go, so what does that mean? I go, look at your life right now and recognize a simple fact. The things you like that come into your life, well, they come in because you have a program to acknowledge those things. But, and this is the one, wake up here, the things you work hard to manifest. I'm working for, I'm putting a lot of effort into it. I'm sweating it over it. I'm stressing. I'm making this happen. I go, why are you working so hard? And the answer is whatever that destination you are trying to get to that you're struggling with, that destination is not covered by the program. And in fact, you're trying to override a program. I go, that's just not going to work, folks. It'll stress you out the rest of your life. Trying to override the program, it overrides you, my friend. And that, uh, and if you don't even see the program, that's where the part goes like, well, how come I'm having so much problem? I go, well, whatever you're trying not to have a problem with, the program that you want to be doesn't exist at this moment. And this is the struggle of life. You are a creator and you are participating in the creation of your life without knowledge of what your participating role is because you can't see it. All you see is the result of your behavior coming back to you. And if you're not finding that beautiful, love my life every day, I can't wait to wake up and enjoy more, then it's time to reconsider those programs.
Let's talk about, because I'm going to find, I know we talked about it in the Consciousness Upgrade Summit, but not everybody was there, who is listening to this show, which again, you missed out. But anyway, here we go. All right. So this Heaven on Earth checklist that I have that you presented, and
Yes.
we talked about it there, is that I'm halfway through the book. Doug and I were reading it because I wanted him to sort of get prepared for our time with you in August, but I also want to just allow it all to sort of unfold. So help me know, for people that, let's say, can't come to the event, but they can buy the book. In the book, do you go over some of the how to change your programs?
I list how to change them. I am not the change guy. I don't want to be the change guy because that would make me go, oh, Bruce, you changed me. No, I say there are ways to change. Let me tell you how to change, okay? Because first of all, I'm not a guru. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life. I'll tell you how it works. You decide what to do with your life after you know the mechanism. Because if you don't know how it works, then look, lack of knowledge is the lack of power, and that's why we're here. So in the book, I can lead you after I show you how it worked to get you to where you are. I can lead you to a step that says, how can I get from here to the empowerment part, which is changing the belief system, okay? It's not conventional psychology. It's a new version of psychology called energy psychology. It's a look. We talked about getting programs, and I said conventional psychology. Let's talk about how you got your program. Oh, your mom did this, your dad did that, your friend did this, and blah. And you're reviewing this story, and that's why they always have the tissue box there because you're reviewing your history of crap that didn't work. And it's like, oh yeah, but somebody did that, and somebody did that. And I go, these were messengers that gave you a message. The message is the program. You are carrying the program. You have no need. And it's a waste of time. If anything, it makes it worse to go back over how you got the program because you're going to replay the same stressors that led to the program. And I go, it's irrelevant what happened the day before yesterday. I go, why? Because you're starting your life right here, right now, going forward. So the idea of going backwards is silly right now. And I say, well, how do I go forward? And I say, first find out what are your programs? Well, I said, where are you struggling? Health, money, relationship, environment, whatever. These are the things you have to bring up to the surface because if you're having a struggle, it means you're not in harmony with those things. And this is where you start to say, how do I change? What do I change? And so this is like there's a personal, and we use the word, and sometimes I lower my voice when I say the word responsibility. Oh, I'll say it again, responsibility. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody in the country wants to hear. Even the president doesn't care. It's not, I'm not responsible. Nobody's responsible. I go, somebody's responsible. We are. And the idea is if you hold yourself a victim, then you're claiming irresponsibility because I am powerless. And I say, there are no powerless people out here. There are programs that take away your power. But if you put programs back in, what happens if you become the power? Then you become the creator. And if you're the creator, I'm living in the same world that you are living in. Okay. There's two Bruces I always refer to. Science, Dr. Bruce Lipton, science guy. Civilization's falling apart because if it doesn't, we're going to die because it's causing the problem. And then there's Bruce, the guy who lives here and goes, this is crazy. What's going on here? This is crazy. But the point is, it has to fall apart because it's self-destructive. And civilization, NASA scientists reveal within 20 years, and people say sooner, we're facing, and listen to the word, irreversible collapse of civilization. It's not going back. Back is where the problems started. Forward is where we resolve the problems. That's why things are showing. That's why things that are showing up that we haven't dealt with for years, such as race situations. Okay, we're dealing with that. Black Lives Matter, Me Too generation. How many years have we not paid attention to the disparaging difference between men and women and work and life and all that stuff when they're perfectly equal? And yet they struggle to just try to keep up. It's like, why? Years. Do I need to go back to this? Hell no. We got to create another one. And that's what we're involved in. That's why JJ is here. That's why I'm here, to give you this encouragement that this is a transition time. The old has to come down. The reason I keep bringing this up is because if you're attached to the old and it's falling apart, it hurts you because you're holding on to it and it's falling apart. I go, let go. You have to let go. It is falling apart. And if it doesn't fall apart, civilization is in a worse state than it could ever imagine at this moment. So we're here, and we need this knowledge to get out of this. And can you get out of it? And the answer is yes. And you say, well, how'd you get into it? And I say, programming. How you get out of it? Reprogramming.
Yeah. Well, so I have a course called Rewiring Your Core Wound Patterns, and another course called The Roadmap to Emotional Healing. And the whole show is about taking responsibility for what you're creating as a manifester, as a vibrational being, as an energy creator. I mean, I started teaching law of attraction. Well, before I had a podcast, I started law of attraction as soon as I learned about it. So 2001, but the podcast was around 2016. And I remember when I was at your event, and asking you, well, sort of like the resources that you had, and maybe hopefully after this next event, we could chat a minute about some of the things that I offer people also in terms of how to rewire their brains, how to reprogram, and some of it goes back for a minute because at least we want to assess, like, a doctor on the show who had interviewed me on her show asked me at one point, like, if people don't know what their beliefs are, how do they know how do they know? And I said, well, what are they manifesting? Like, what problems are you having? All you have to know is what's showing up for you, what you keep bumping up against that will set. But like you had said, people don't know what they want. People don't know what they want. They don't know what they believe. They don't understand. They're not aware. There's some awareness that needs to be created, like with the rewiring program and the roadmap of going back and doing an exercise that I did when I was in therapy with my former relationship. And it was an exercise. I know, Harville Hendricks and Helen Kelly Hunt. So it's imago therapy. And there was a core wound exercise. And I remember my program said with my last relationship, there was something that I was doing in the relationship. And he said to me more than one time, he said, that doesn't work when you do that. And I said, yeah, I do. I know that doesn't work. I don't know why I keep doing it, but I know that it doesn't work. And then I went and I did this core wound exercise. And I saw exactly why I did it. I was like, oh my God, this has been going on since I was little with my parents. This is a response to my parents. Now I have a Sag moon, so I process truth. Like once I see something, I can't unsee it and I automatically change my behavior. Not everyone is like that. Sometimes you need to be beaten over the head many times. You know it, but you can't change it. But there are other ways to change it. But the minute I saw the pattern, I stopped doing it because I saw it. I was like, oh, okay, I now have a different relationship with this program, with this understanding of why I do this. This awareness was created and I stopped doing it. Cold turkey. I was like, oh my God. So I said, why isn't every single person in therapy doing this? This would cut many, this would be functional. This would give us direction and structure, and it would actually tell us what we believe and have a different, deeper understanding of some of these programs that we don't even know that we're doing because we're just doing them. They're just running our lives. It's 95%. So I'd asked you several, last time we talked, and then on the Heaven on Earth checklist. And so I just want to make sure, because I always want to honor the fact that if you have in this book, and everyone should get this book anyway, Honeymoon Effect, and come to the workshop, please. I'd love to work with you there too, like to see you and be with you and be in community with you. But I want to just make sure, like, you have the tools that work for you, that you love, that you tell people about, but you don't necessarily teach them. You teach them the how, the what, right? And then I think people like me do the how. Like, you do the what, so everyone knows what they're looking for, what they need to be doing, and then the rest, some of us are doing the how. So we're going to be in the trenches, sort of helping you change those programs, if I'm accurate in that.
Right.
Right. So I'm part of the how
Well,
crew.
my thing is, like you, awaken to the problem, which you did. You said, "Oh my God, I'm seeing I'm doing this problem." Then you said, "I don't want to do this problem." That was a choice, and by doing something else, you created a new habit instead of repeating the old one. And by repeating a new behavior, it becomes a new habit. And then once it's a habit, it's a no-brainer, because a habit you don't have to think about, it's just automatic anyway, without you even putting effort into it. And that's the beautiful part about having the program, that if you have good programs, this is great. If you have bad programs, not so good.
It's an identification, though. For me, I had to understand. I knew it was there, and I somehow, for some reason, couldn't stop it. I was like, I don't know, I do it all the time. It's my impulse. It's what I follow the impulse. You do this, I do that. I know it doesn't work, I keep doing it. I don't know how to stop it. But it was in the seeing. It was the awareness. When the awareness was created about how far this habit went back and what it was really about for me, that's when I stopped it instantly. And that's what I hope to do for people. I have people who I've never worked with that listen to the show that tell me regularly I've changed their lives, because the knowledge is power. And you're part of that. You coming in and talking with people who are listening to the show have helped me with another client of mine, who, she was a cancer survivor, and she had never heard the words that you had said it in the same way. I said, "You've listened to Bruce Lipton?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, listen to this show that we did." And then you gave her permission to forgive herself for what she didn't know. And all of a sudden, we made some blood work changes in her life just by releasing emotions that she couldn't get through diet or through supplements or through whatever. And all of a sudden, her doctor was like, "What did you do differently?" And she's like, "Nothing. I just processed my emotions. I had this sort of emotional breakthrough." And all of a sudden, her labs look better. So, but it starts with, again, like you said, this knowledge. And then there are some people, though, that the knowledge isn't enough, like, or they're not getting it. They don't know what to do with it. So if it's okay, just for the people that are listening that are going to get the book and maybe come to the event, I do want to list that Heaven on Earth checklist. Can we talk about that again?
Yep.
Okay. So how to reprogram the subconscious brain. And actually, before we get to that, I want to ask you one other thing. So if I hear you correctly, let me make sure I'm mirroring that I'm understanding you. So the thinking is a problem when you're in a negative program that doesn't support you. But if you're in a positive program that's beneficial, when you're thinking, it's not necessarily going to take you down a bad road,
No,
because
in
it's in a
fact,
positive program.
it will take you to where, if you put the program in you what you want, you will manifest what you want without even engaging in it. The subconscious is a million times more powerful processor computer than the conscious mind, running 95% of the time. And all of a sudden, it takes you, if you have a destination, it can take you there. If you don't have a destination, it's a wild card. And the point about it is, as we'll talk about in the checklist, what is your destination? And if you can't tell me what the destination is, then I can tell you you can't get there, because it's sort of like you land a airport in New York City, and the cab driver says, "Where should I take you?" You say, "Take me to the city." Huh? Was it, you didn't say what you wanted. You can't get there. And so JJ is giving us the first step. What does you want?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I'm working with people now who don't know what they want, how they feel, why the feelings are important. Right. And so it's all, but it's to me the goal. Like, all of us came, like you said, to experience. I think we talked about it in the upgrade, in the consciousness upgrade summit. We as energetic beings, which is who we really are, when we're not physically focused, we don't know what sex feels like. We don't know what chocolate tastes like. We don't know what a massage feels like, or being in a jacuzzi, or having a good glass of wine, or running your feet through the sand. Like, those are experiences that we came forth to have. And if you're not having them and you're living a different experience that's kind of negative, then you're very far from the reason you came here in the first place.
Absolutely. When I started to recognize, what we're talking about here is that and quantum physics is 100% supporting everything we're talking here about this, is that we are like a broadcast, an energy, spirit. And the body is like a television that plays the program. So you're looking at the Bruce show on the Bruce television right now. But when a television breaks, we say television's dead. That's it. It doesn't work anymore. And I go, yeah, but the television died. Did the broadcast? And I say, oh, that doesn't die. That's going on. I go, okay, point. Spirits to broadcast, bodies come, bodies go. Right now, I'm in this television. The beautiful JJ is in her television. And the idea is what? We are connecting. But the television is not only just the show going out, the show is also going in. And I go, what I use in the lecture is I talk about the Mars rover, the thing that went, they put like a go-kart that lands on Mars and drives around. I say, that's the human equivalent. In other words, we can't go to Mars, but let's send up something that can behave like a human, so it can move around. Okay, great. What else does it do? Oh, it can see, it's got cameras. It can tell you what the temperature is. It can tell you what the air combination is. It can tell you what the soil is made out of. And I say, so what's the point? The driver of the vehicle is at NASA. He sends a signal to the vehicle picked up by the antenna, and then causes the vehicle to move around, do whatever. But the vehicle, as it's moving around, is picking up information from the environment and sending it back to the source. So the guy at NASA says, oh, look at the temperature. Oh, see what the gas is, blah, blah, blah. So the guy at NASA has an experience of what Mars is. He's not on Mars. Okay. Well, we are Earth rovers. We are the broadcast from a NASA that we jump into the machine, move it around, make it move, make it do things. Oh, that's creativity. What else? When you are taking in your experiences, you think your experiences are locked in your head because we put wires on a person's head. I could read your brain. It's going on underneath the skull right here with EEG, electroencephalograph. There's another device that reads brain functions called magnetoencephalograph, MEG, not EEG. I say, it reads brain function. I go, yeah, what's unique? Probe is out here. I go, so what does that mean? Well, we used to think our thoughts are in our head. I go, no, now we know our thoughts are broadcast back to the environment, which is influencing the environment we're in, but also being received by our NASA, wherever we're coming from. So as you said, love, I can write an essay on intellectual, but if I never felt love, I never experienced it in my body, if I never knew what the consequences are, I'm missing half the definition right there. And so the body enhances our spirit by giving us sensation. That's what it's all about. Sensation, seeing, smelling, hearing, tasting, feeling. All these are the beautiful part of this body. And I say, yeah, but what does it do? Sends it back to the source. So your identity, your broadcast has another level of experience because you've had this body, okay? And then all of a sudden I said, well, this is great. This is why we came here. And then when I woke up to it, I said, oh my God, I came here to sense this world, taste it, smell it, feel it, touch it, get into it, put your hands in there, everything. And I realized this is a big difference between men and women. I go, what do you mean? I say, men have been programmed to not be sensitive. I go, what do you mean? Because men are expected to be in a fight, a military, a war. Sensitive people will not survive a war. So from the days of Sparta, the men were trained differently. They were trained not to have sensation and feeling. Because if you have feeling, you cannot shoot somebody in the face with a gun. You can't do it. So the way you make a soldier is you take away their sensitivity. When I was young, they used to, hey, hit you and say, you flinched. Oh, and then you go, no, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that. I go, what did we learn? No feeling. And then, of course, women are not in that military, so they could have all the damn feelings that anybody could have because nobody takes them away. And then you wonder why men and women have this problem communicating is because men have lost sensitivity. and women are sensitive. And I go, yeah, but if you don't have sensitivity, you're wasting your life on this planet because the idea was to be sensitive and experience things. I had to wake up to that and say, wait a minute. I've shut myself down all these years because I was playing the role of future soldier boy. And then once I started to say, wait, I'm not I'm not tasting or sensing or feeling or experiencing things. And I had to open up and say, let's do it. Been the greatest joy of my life because that is the joy. I mean, walk outside and the sun hits you and it feels like, oh my God, I'm radiant heat. Did you, seriously, ready? When was the last sunset you sat down and watched? Hmm. A lot of people will not be able to say recently. I go, why? Well, the one thing I learned when I lived in the Caribbean, at sunset, everybody just went outside and sat down and watched the sunset for a period of quietness for the day. Whatever thoughts, meditation, whatever was going on was quietly calming and as the sun was going down. Ours doesn't, we don't have that pause. We're doing busy, we go home, we're busy, we go to sleep, we wake up, busy, 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 busy. Men have been programmed not to even be sensitive because it defeats the purpose of being a war person. And I now know from deepest experience, until men can open up and get there, we're in a lot of trouble. But I also noticed something very neat because I've seen the evolution. I go, what? In the beginning, when I first lectured, starting 1985, only women came to my seminars. And then occasionally a man would show up, and then another man would show up, and then another man. And I'm so happy to say that in my later seminars, like recently, it's nearly 50-50. And the idea is if the men aren't there, it won't work. It's a dual process. It's men and women working in cooperation and harmony. Men have been left out of the programming. You know, I'm not sensitive. Well, how can you be a romantic if you're not sensitive? That's all it's all about, sensing, you know? So this is an evolution that's really necessary at this time. And it's interesting because the women are already ready. It's the men that just need a little more pushing to make them more sensitive of what they're doing. But if you push on them, they don't like it.
Right. Right. Well, that's where contrast comes in, right? So law of attraction, usually it takes a couple divorces, it takes a heartbreak, it takes a disease, it takes, the fighting and fighting and fighting until they've run out of options, and then they surrender. But yeah, unfortunately for some, it's going to feel like a defeatist way. But that's why, again, I kind of put out into the world that you'll manifest it, but it won't, if you don't do it proactively, it's going to come in a way that will be very highly inconvenient for you, and it will be messy. And that's why I love, like, this list that you've made, the heaven on earth checklist, and then having this idea of, so my client yesterday, who, she, sort of traveled to source energy, if you will. And there wasn't going to be a way to talk about that. There wasn't going to be there's not too much that you can say that is going to create that experience. And that's one of the things on your list, is a major life experience, spiritual. That's the last thing on the list. And those,
But you can't control that one.
no, not at all. Not at all. Because I've done many. And this one was definitely, I mean, this was the best. Again, if you want somebody to, I deal with a lot of cancer patients and people who have diseases and things, and I always wish for them, like, to just face this and do this, so that way, because what I hear and what the testimonials are about this is people who, cancer patients, lose, once they have an experience like this, they lose the fear of death, and then their body goes into a sympathetic state, parasympathetic state, and then they heal, and they outlive their diagnosis, and they live in a whole different way. It's all radical remission stuff, because they've had something, they've induced an awareness and awakening, literally an NDE. I mean, I think yesterday she had a partial near death experience, even though she never came close to actual dying, but her spirit kind of left and then came back in her body. She was like, oh my God, this body. Like, she was so enthralled with her body, because it was like she kind of left and came back. And it was this awareness and awakening. And not that everyone has to do that. That's not what I'm saying. But I love that we can say, look, things aren't working for me. I've tried lots of things. I've learned lots of things. I'm just not getting it. I'm not there yet. What can I do? How can I start to change my programs? And on your list, you start with hypnosis and subliminal programs.
But first, though, I actually start with what are your programs? Because you see, you don't know that your life is the expression of programs. So this gives you the first step. Where am I suffering? I don't have to fix health. Why, I'm taking care of that, and it seems to be working pretty well, but I have a crap relationship. I go, oh,
Mm.
well, then let's don't work on health. Let's work on crap relationship. Okay. So the first thing is, what are your programs? They're manifesting your life. Then you know where you're going to focus. Is it a health issue? Is it a personal issue? Or, whatever it is. So step one, what are my programs now? Because then step two is, well, how do I change those programs? So step one is, step one, and the very first one was the conscious mind. What do you want? If you can write it, and that's what I suggest everybody do, write it out, because it's reinforcing the picture from writing it, seeing it, doing it, not just thinking it. And that reinforces the picture. So it's always good to write out exactly what you want. Don't leave any blanks, because when you leave a blank, the universe will throw a random something in there and maybe not what you want. So the more complete and it's funny because people told me that for years, but I wasn't there yet. And then I remember Margaret and I, after we decided we're going to buy a house, and then we went to realtors and we started looking at houses, and then no, 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 no. And then there was the point where we realized, what are we looking for? Not a house. What are we looking for? And we were in a car, and I remember we had to drive a long way, so she took out a pad and a pen, and we started writing 5 pages. This is what the house is. This is what the yard is. This is what the neighbors are. This is how the relationship with the realtor is going to work, and as much detail. And then, of course, I put in all those things. And I thought, well, we can't afford it, but hey, I want a riding room. Okay, I want a place where there's a guest cottage. Oh, that would be good. And I just threw them in. What the hell? And then within a couple of months, we found a house that had everything on that list. I mean, it was like, oh my God. And the guy had taken $100,000 off the price because he had to move, and nobody was there because it wasn't completely accepted by the building department. And I said, so it's not completely. I said, yeah, but you can live in it. Yeah. Can you sell it? Yeah. Can somebody rent it? Yeah. I said, well, then I don't care about the building department. And I bought the house. And the point about it was, we couldn't find a house because we said we want a house. Well, that is not exactly clear what the universe, hey, try this. Oh, try this. No, I said, well, that's because you didn't say it. So step one, conscious wishes, write it out, visualize it, see it, because that's programming the mind to find the clues to get there. And it's funny because the subconscious will take you there without you even knowing it. Sometimes you find yourself looking at something going, why am I staring at this? And the reason was your subconscious was saying there was something important in this thing you're looking at, and your conscious mind hasn't caught on yet. And then you say, oh, what a coincidence. This thing happens to be right here. I say, that wasn't a coincidence. You sent out a vision, and the subconscious scans the world continuously. Any clue that will get you to your destination, the subconscious is already going, oh, we need that. And it will take you places. It will give you information. It's helping you do it. But it can only help you do it if you know where you want to go. If you don't know where you want to go, it's like, hey, it's random. Hey, whatever's there, take a shot. I go, no. So A, write it, feel it, see it, make it real in every way possible. B, look at the world right now and say, where's the interference in getting to that destination? And that's where your stress is. Okay. Now, C, that's the part we started with. How do you change that program? I say, the first one is spiritual change, meaning you can't control that. That just happens. Like you went to the doctor and all of a sudden the doctor tells you you're going to die in 3 months. That's like, whoa, that will wake you up right there. And
Yep,
it's
I hope so.
interesting that you brought it up. And the point about it is this: two people go to the doctor, they get the same diagnosis, they're both going to die. One of them goes, oh, okay, I'll go home and take care of my affairs. I said, what is this person going to do? They're going to die in 3 months because that's the anticipation. The other people, what they say, well, if I only have 3 months left, then the hell with this stressful job, the hell with this living this way. I'm going to take the rest of my life and I'm going to go out and enjoy myself. I get rid of the stress. 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, 10 years, they're still here. Why? It was the damn stress that was causing the problem. That's 90% of illness, stress right there. And the point about it is, it was a choice. The first one accepted, I will die in 3 months. And the other one says, well, if I'm going to die, then I'm going to sure as hell enjoy the rest of this. And by letting go of the stress and enjoying it, guess what? Health returned to the system. That's what it was all about. Do you want to live? That's a choice, you know?
People don't realize they have that choice. I was smiling and grinning because, well, I love you, but that's not why. It was because when you were talking about the house. So for anyone who's new to the show, I have an episode called How I Manifested My Dream Home. And it goes to the same thing, the list, everything was on the list. And then all of the divine interactions, even like being late for something and not doing something and following my impulse, like it couldn't have worked out. I mean, like it was all divine timing, and
Yeah.
every negative thing, every positive thing led us to, I mean, a crazy exchange. So if you haven't heard that show, look up how I manifested my dream home, and you'll hear all the steps. And one of my other clients listened to it, and then she manifested her dream home. She's like, I followed all the things that
That's
you did.
exactly right. And the thing is, I heard about it, but I never did it. And I never did it until that one time. And the one time I did it, it's like, oh my God, the damn thing, it made exactly what happened. And it was like, miracle. No, creativity,
Right, and connection and
connection.
being present, right? Because you have
Okay.
to also to get
Yeah.
that. So all right, so on this list you have so changing the programs: hypnosis, subliminal programs, habit, and
Okay.
mindful.
Let's do those first.
Yep.
Hypnosis, subliminal programs. These are programs that operate without your subconscious, means below conscious. So everything below consciousness you're not dealing with, it's operating down here somewhere. Okay. So the point about it is this: how did you get the program in the first 7 years? And the brain was not in a higher vibration level of consciousness. Actually, a child's brain is not really participating fully in consciousness till after age 7. Before age 7, the predominant brain activity is a lower vibration called theta. Theta is imagination. Well, of course, that's the tea party. Pour nothing into the cup, drink nothing. It was the best tea you ever had in your life. That's theta. Okay. But theta is hypnosis. And this is how you were able to download the thousands of rules of being a member of a family and being a member of a community. It wasn't education where you had to learn it, you just observed it and downloaded it. So I said, well, yeah. So if you go through hypnosis, you can do the same thing. I said, well, do I need to see a hypnotherapist? I go, no, that's the cool part. I said, why? Your brain is a higher vibration, a high consciousness, like schoolroom. And then when you go home, the vibration slows down. It starts at beta, high. And then when you go home and calm down, a lower vibration, alpha, calm consciousness. And the moment you fall asleep, you drop into theta, no consciousness. You're sleeping, consciousness gone. But the brain is operating in theta, is hypnosis. So if you put on earbuds or earphones and put in a program that you want to be true in your life, self-help programs, you can get them lots of places. JJ probably got some for you. And the point about it is what? All you do is go to sleep. I go, then what? Well, the moment you're sleeping and the program is playing, your consciousness doesn't hear it. You're sleeping. You're not here. But the subconscious is beginning to download it. Unfortunately, it's not a very long period, so you have to repeat the process. But you repeat the process a number of times, and then guess what? You wake up one day and the program is already in, and you didn't even do anything but went to sleep. And the program is now your life is different. Wow. I love it. It's like, how much effort? Can you go to sleep? Yeah. Okay, then you can download.
It's a very missed opportunity for most people who are not falling asleep to binaural beats or hypnosis. You said, so is it because theta is only so long that you go into delta?
Yeah,
What?
delta is sleep, and then even the brain is now offline at that point. Okay. Well, it's not completely offline.
Right.
There's something called the biological imperative. Boy, I wish we had a whole lot more time, but I can tell you. I
Next
got to tell
time,
you.
let's do another show on
No,
that,
no, but
whatever that is.
I got to tell people what it is because it's a
Okay.
drive. Biological imperative is the drive to survive. Every living organism has it, from the most primitive bacterium. If you try to kill a bacterium, it will do everything in its capability to stay alive. It's not going to sit there and go, oh, okay, kill me. It will make an action to stay alive. So from the most primitive organism to us, the biological imperative is the design to stay alive, survive, protect yourself. You don't even realize this, how much energy you spend every day. Why? The fear of death makes this system be on 24/7 lookout, meaning you walk down the street, you think, I'm going to go to the store down there, and you catch a strange looking figure in the dark. I say, you didn't catch that. The subconscious mind said, be careful of that. The subconscious mind, when you're seeing something that could threaten you, says, be careful of that, wake you up. In the middle of the night, you're sleeping, you hear a noise, boom, you're up. Why? Biological imperative works 24/7, okay? And what's its function? Make sure you stay alive, okay? And so what's really important about this is we live in fear, and that thing is running 24/7. What I noticed the first moment when I saw that, wait, I'm a spiritual entity, I'm a broadcast, I'm not the television set. I went from not spiritual to spiritual. How long was the transition? A minute, minute and a half. Why? Because it was a mechanical thing. It was science. It was like, holy crap, I'm not even in here, blah, blah, blah. I can't die. Why? I'm the broadcast, blah, blah. I felt a lifting of energy in my life. I just was like, all of a sudden, I was like, I had all this energy. You know what it was? Canceling the biological imperatives 24/7 watch hour. It can stay in the background, but it's not my primary thing anymore. Why? The fear of death has disappeared. I own spirituality not because I went to church or any of that stuff like that. I own spirituality because the cells revealed it to me. And therefore, it's not a devotional belief, it's a scientific reality. But the moment I did it was the amazing amount of energy that just came into my life because I didn't realize you've been running that energy 24/7 all the time because of fear. What happens if the fear disappears? All of a sudden, that energy was like, oh, a new bank account I didn't even know I had. And there's your energy. I'm sorry, I went way in there, JJ. Go ahead.
No, 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 no. And because here's the thing, that's new. We've talked a few times, so people who have listened to us have these conversations. The thing that I was reviewing, we actually did in the Consciousness Upgrade Summit. So here's the thing. You want it, guys? Go get it. I'm going to give you a code, JJ. It'll get you $200 off. You do have to buy it because you missed it. But again, you benefit from the fact that I didn't take it down and it's still there. So go to the consciousnessupgrade.com. And if you want it, you'll get everybody else's talks too. But Dr. Bruce Lipton's has a bonus episode of 30 minutes after the initial hour that we did. And it goes a little bit deeper into this heaven on earth checklist. But then also you can just come to the event in October, in August, sorry. And he has other events. So if you're not near, this is something, you're already busy, whatever. He has other events and he goes all over the world. I saw that where other country were you in recently? Were you in Germany or where were you?
Oh, I've been everywhere.
You're like all over the world. And
Yeah.
in Italy, weren't you in Italy with Greg Braden?
I've been in Italy with Greg a couple of times. I just got back from there last week from Italy, and I was in UK and Italy, and then coming up, I have Ireland, Brussels, France, Spain, Greece.
Weren't
Uh,
you in Greece?
this the late fall, I'll be in Greece.
Okay, maybe I'll go to Greece with you. Unless you're gonna be in Italy in like October, November, because I might have to take a trip by myself to Florence since nobody else wants to go with me.
That's where I was, Florence,
Yeah, well, I love Florence.
Tuscany,
Yeah,
Tuscany.
my favorite. So, all right, guys. So here's what you're gonna do. So you're gonna get the honeymoon effect. You're going to go to brucelipton.com, check out the events. Let me know if you're going to come to the Mount Shasta Honeymoon Effect workshop. You get to meet his lovely wife, and we're going to be doing these practices, and you're going to walk out of there knowing how to make heaven on earth in your life more
Especially in
specifically.
relationship, of how to make a communication that doesn't make fire. How can you make a communication that brings harmony? Because most of the communications are arguments, and it's like that, no resolution, folks. That actually makes things worse. Arguments make heat, fire, no good. So yeah, this is really important because couples can work on their how to communicate. That's part of this thing. It's very important because if you can understand the communication, then there's no reason to have any breakup or anything. And again, look, the person you met and shared the honeymoon with also has a program that's going to manifest. And you may not want to see that program because it'll throw a monkey wrench in the whole thing. But if you understand it, then both people can evolve by rewriting those programs.
Is it just romantic couples, or is it like, could it be any like mother daughter,
And any relationship,
anybody?
because guess what? A honeymoon doesn't have to be with people. Let me make that really important point. Why? A honeymoon is an experience of living on earth like it's heaven and everything is beautiful. I say, yeah, you can be a chef. You make a meal, you're creating at that moment, right? You're a gardener, you got your hands in the dirt, feels great. Yeah, that's great, right? You're a musician, you play some music. When you're playing music, you're off in another place again. You can be in love with a pet. It's not necessarily a person. It's the idea of being open to receive the harmony of the planet rather than to be hiding behind the protection things that scared us in the beginning. Get those away, and then you're free to enjoy your life.
Okay. So let me know. Well, you don't have to let me know, just sign up. But if anybody would like to let me know, I'd love to know you're going to the honeymoon effect. And there'll be more than one of them, but this one's coming up soon, and I hope to see you. I will be there. Doug will be there, and we look forward to it. And then because now we're out of books, but we're not out of conversation. So hopefully maybe you'll come back and we can dive deeper into some of the other things that I'm probably going to learn and we're going to talk about. So you always have a wealth of knowledge. Oh, one more thing I want to put out to you that I want to say publicly. Yes, you. Uh, so when I was in Sedona with you, and one of the thoughts that I had was, we all know how powerful the work you're doing is in the world. That's why you're booked as you are, because it takes years for me to get you back. But it's good. We're now on a 1 year versus every 2 year thing. So this is good. We're making progress. But it's so important, Bruce, that I wonder if anyone's approached you. I'm sure they have. You introduced me to Dana and Chrisana. They did
Oh
the
yeah.
right, and they've been here in Ojai, and they're now working on the horse film. But I said to them, "Can you get Bruce to do a movie? More people need to see the work he's doing in the world. It needs to be so that doesn't require you to show up. Like we can hit more people because what I the you're talking about the planet and the evolution and the you do so beautifully the graph with the science and the spirituality and how they switch and interact and where we're going." And it's like, okay, more people need to see this, but they don't know about it. Can you please do a movie so we can all share the movie? So like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people every single day can see it. Because while I love you and it's important to meet you, you're just one person. You only have so much time. And I don't want you to always be
Well,
working.
guess what? I'm making a movie with you right now.
You're right. You're right. But that whole weekend could be condensed into a movie that we could everyone can share more and more.
Well, I really would hope so because uh, you know what I feel like is like the Wizard of Oz, and Dorothy travels all the way through this whole thing. At the very end, she goes and then she finds this curtain and pulls it back, and there's the wizard back there with all the dials and all the control and all stuff like that. My science, following the cells, took me to that curtain. And when I understood the nature of the cells, everything in life all of a sudden was like that was the key piece. When you put it into the puzzle, all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, yeah, cells are miniature people. They have all the functions that we have. Every function in your human body is present in virtually every one of your cells with a nucleus in that cell. Red cells don't have a nucleus, so they don't have the repertoire, but other cells. And I go, why is that important? Because cells are miniature people and they live in a community called a body. And when you start to look at the nature of, oh my God, how they communicate, how they, economics of the community, the politics of the community, the healthcare of the community, all of a sudden it's like, these are the principal functions that we need to understand. The answers lie within. If you understand how the inside works, then you've got the model for the outside because we ourselves in a bigger thing forming called humanity, a multicellular organization where people are the cells. Now, it's not working right now because there's no harmony. And in fact, that's called autoimmune disease, self-destruction, which is the primary health issues on this planet on the inside, which are manifesting on the outside. Most of the illness is autoimmune. You're doing it to yourself. And so, with the help of you, JJ, and everybody else, we can just say, people, it's a wake-up call because I tell you, the one wake-up call that's worth everything in your life. Because when you understand this, then you realize life is heaven on earth.
Mic drop. Okay. Well, see, when I keep you longer, it gets there. Autoimmune is equals no harmony. Okay. That was a huge nugget right there. I can't wait to see you in August. Please, everybody, go to brucelipton.com, come to the event, buy the book, get involved, and beg him to do a movie so we can share it with more people. And not that it means you're going to slow down or not stop traveling or working with people. I just want to be able to share it with more people because I think we can make a much bigger difference a lot faster if we just make you into a movie that we can share more easily. So I love you. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to see you in August.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate the opportunity to be with you yet again, JJ.